Whenever debt forgiveness is brought up, the next point invariably raised is what about compliant mortgage holders who perhaps struggle against all odds to keep their repayments up to date? Should they have to suffer the injustice of seeing their neighbour's mortgage perhaps written down while still being allowed to live in their home? A tough question, and one to which there is no simple answer. For example, if all else was equal, if negative equity didn't exist, if the country was not experiencing a mortgage crisis, and if the neighbour still had a job, the question of debt forgiveness would not arise at all. If he or she was in serious arrears for whatever reason, the bank would be entitled to use all legal means to deal with the problem. The bank's actions would not impact on any other person's mortgage. But as we all know, the above scenario is no longer relevant. Negative equity is a massive problem. We are going ever deeper into a mortgage crisis that can bring the entire economy down. We are also in the depths of a recession, leaving large numbers of mortgage holders unemployed. But the bottom line is that something radical has to be done soon in the national interest. Our banks, the government, and our politicians seem determined to keep their heads in the sand in the hope that a magic fairy will suddenly appear and make the problem go away. But they were elected to govern, not to hide. Many media commentators present the dilemma of compliant mortgage payers versus those hoping for debt forgiveness as an issue involving moral hazard. This is a misuse of the term in my view. But be that as it may, the issue of debt forgiveness as a solution is very real, and pretending it isn't is moral cowardice. Favouring one person's needs over another is not unusual in a humane society. But the scale of this unprecedented mortgage crisis is so great that most citizens cannot see why society in general should share the burden of bailing out their neighbours' private mortgage debts. Nonetheless, I believe, certain analogies are relevant. For example, in education, children born with mental and physical disabilities need a disproportionately larger share of the budget than other children. A humane society accepts this without question. In health, smokers, drinkers and drug users, which are self-inflicted addictions, cost the exchequer billions in extra care due to severe health problems directly attributable to their addictions. The taxes of non-smokers, non-drinkers and non-drug users pay most of these extra health-related billions. Obesity, which may or may not be self-inflicted, poses the biggest health risk for the future, we are told. Diabetes and other related disorders will place a huge burden on future health budgets. Other health costs, which are not self-inflicted, such as care of the elderly, mobility allowances for physically handicapped, and medical cards for poor people, are accepted without question in a humane society. The system may be far from perfect, but the need for humane contributions in specific situations is fully understood. The big question is, will society in general accept debt forgiveness for the 100,000 families who are caught up in the mortgage crisis as a further humane contribution from the public purse? In my view, they will not. I base my opinion on common sense. But because something has to be done about the crisis, I propose that an across-the-board write-down of the negative equity portion of all mortgages taken out during the Celtic Tiger years should be instituted without delay. Mortgage repayments would be reduced accordingly, probably by 50% on average. People would stay in their homes. The government would have to ensure that international financiers and bondholders who continue to make massive profits across the globe from screwing austerity-ridden countries into penury will bear the major proportion of these paper losses associated with this debt forgiveness programme. Ireland would be reborn. Instead of the economy collapsing from the present mortgage crisis, overnight the potential for its recovery would have been created. It is past time for Irish people to stand tall and take control of their own destiny